Welcome to the Humble ISD Advanced Learning Podcast, where our goal is to talk about anything and everything related to advanced learning in less time than it takes for you to get from home to school or work. I'm Dr. Tom Udegrit, the Director of Advanced Learning here in Humble ISD. I'm really excited about today's conversation. Over the years in the world of advanced learning, there's been more and more options made available to our students as it relates to receiving college credit while they're still in high school. Now, one of those options that we've had for several years here in Humble ISD is through our dual credit program. And we've partnered with Lone Star College Kingwood to provide these options to our students. And joining me today to talk a little bit more about that is Kellie Sullivan, the Director of Academic Partnerships and Initiatives for Lone Star College Kingwood, as well as Dr. Jared Miller, the Dean over Academic Partnerships and Initiatives. Welcome, Kellie and Jared. Thank you guys so much for making the time to be with me today.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having us.
This is the first time that I'm actually getting to talk to somebody on this podcast that's not in Humble, so I think that's a great thing for us. So starting out, we've talked a lot about our advanced placement programs, International Baccalaureate. We've also talked about some of our other programs like AVID and Gifted and Talented. But when we look at Lone Star, can you give us a little bit more of an overview? Because this is an external partnership with you. So what does that partnership look like as it relates to dual credit?
Sure. So the partnership between Lone Star College, Kingwood, and Humble ISD is very strong. We have the partnerships with, of course, our 5 high schools in the area, as well as the newly dedicated Sconzo Early College program. And within that context of our partnerships, the students have the opportunity to take college credit courses, whether these are in the core component areas, sometimes foreign languages, occasionally workforce areas as well. And they can do this to a number of means and for a number of ends. It's important, I think, from our perspective, for people to know that when they are taking dual credit courses with us, that means they are also a Lone Star student, which means they have access to all of the Lone Star student services, the Learning Commons, the library, the online materials, tutoring, everything that comes with that.
So if I'm a student or parent who's interested in earning college credit while I'm still in high school, what does it take for me to be able to register for those classes? I mean, is it as easy as me just walking up to my counselor and saying, hey, I want to take dual credit English. Can I just do that?
It's not quite that easy, but it's close. It's not a very labor-intensive process. So the application itself is only 5 to 10 minutes or so. There's a few other things that need to be done after that in order to be properly placed in a dual credit program. The probably most important one that can cause some confusion occasionally would be our TSI screening, our TSI testing for placement. That's something that students can talk with their counselors about. Occasionally they can test out of that depending on how they've done on STAR, potentially if they're in the upper class levels, how they've done on the PSAT scores. And then once they speak with their counselor, get this testing squared away, they can get registered for their classes and then get the dual credit discount applied to their bill.
Can we talk a little bit more about this TSIA 2? If I'm hearing you right, you're telling me that I need to be able to show proficiency in this in order to take dual credit courses. So what does that mean exactly? And can I take TSIA at Lone Star Kingwood?
Yes, so to take a dual credit class or a dual credit eligible class, students will need to show college level skills and college level placement. So one way to do that is through the TSIA 2 exam. Students can take that at their high school, but they can also take it with Lone Star College Kingwood on our campus. So they can do it in person or they can do it online through a proctored company. The TSIA 2 is free for the first attempt for dual credit students at the Lone Star College Kingwood campus. However, if they do it online, the proctor company does charge $25 for that piece of it. Always talk with your high school counselor because there's opportunities at the high school to be able to take it. Through Lone Star College Kingwood, they're going to need to talk with our dual credit counselor, and then they can get registered.
Awesome. So let's say I've already taken my TSIA 2 or I've met criteria other ways, and I'm able now to take a dual credit course. I think there's a different approaches on how we handle dual credit, right? Like I hear terms like becoming core complete, and that's different than something like a college essentials. Can you give me a little bit more of an idea, like if I'm going to take dual credit courses, should I try to be core complete? Should I try to do this college essentials? What does that even mean for someone who's never done dual credit before?
Sure, and that's a great question because there are pros and cons to each, and it's really going to vary based on the individual, based on what their goals are, and what kind of load they want to take on. So when we talk about college essentials, we're really talking about those most common courses that are pretty ubiquitous across any college level curriculum. We're talking about government, history, English, both sort of the first and second levels of those. So for English, it's our 1301 and 1302. For government, it's federal and Texas in this state. And for history, it's our history 1 and 2 courses. So there's 6 courses, 3 credit hours each, so 18 credit hours. That's the college essentials program. And that's very good for individuals that might not have the time or the resources or even the need to take on the full core complete, which I'll get into in a moment. They can kind of pick and choose. When I was in high school, that's very much what I did. I took a couple dual credit courses here and there that were very common that I could then potentially knock out so I wouldn't have to take at the next level. When you hear a term like core complete, that's going to involve our College Essentials Plus. When we say College Essentials Plus, it's going to be a total here. We're talking about 14 college courses that total 42 credit hours. Now, this is the Texas core, and there's going to be some variance there. There's certain courses that they have to take. That's also when you get into some of those categories that you might be familiar with, like 3 credit hours of social behavioral sciences that you could pick from sociology or psychology or economics. So it's taking that core that is then transferable to our public institutions within the state. So it's not for everyone because it's a much larger time commitment. It's usually a 9 through 12 kind of time frame you're thinking about from the beginning of high school, where some of the college essentials are a little bit more mix and match based on maybe what you're pursuing. You don't know what you're pursuing. You don't know what kind of courses you need, but you want to knock out some of those very commonly needed courses at most universities.
Well, and I think it's important for us to note too, right, that we're still talking about dual credit. So not only on the college side are they getting the credit, but by going through these courses, they're meeting a lot of their graduation requirements that they need for high school at the same time, right? So things that you're mentioning, like your Englishes. Well, you're going to need to take an English class for high school graduation. So why not try to get college credit while you're at it?
Right.
And I think the cool thing that all of this translates to is it saves so many families time and money in the long run. Even if I'm a sophomore, a junior, going into my senior year, and I haven't figured it out, I could still do that essentials pathway and still get, hey, let's get these few courses out of the way. It'll transfer to different colleges, and I've saved some money in the long run.
It puts the dual in dual credit, right?
But then you've got those families that maybe are like, I know I want to go to Texas A&M. I know I want to go to UT Austin. And so since they're a state institution, if I can become core complete, I mean, that transfers as a block, right? Like that's almost a year's worth or so of classes?
It's 2 years largely. It's generally speaking, our freshman and sophomore load is taken care of at that level. And then you can much more quickly get into some of those upper level courses that might be specific to what you are pursuing that have those prerequisites that you've already taken care of.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, right? The what I'll say the traditional college experience for a lot of people, right, is they'll end up, if they go to a large institution like an A&M, like a Baylor, like a UT, is they're sitting in these large lecture halls for an English class,
right?
For a government class that, man, if I could have gotten that knocked out in high school, smaller class size, cheaper in the long run, like you said, Jared, like I can focus in on some of my upper levels, immediately get that 2 years of college out of the way just by refocusing myself while I was still in high school.
That's fantastic.
And you made a good point about class size. That is a really important piece, is that you're talking 20 to 30 students in a class rather at Lone Star College Kingwood as compared to maybe a 500-person lecture hall.
Right, and you think about it too, especially if we could do a dual credit where they're also in with their high school aged peers, right? So really, in reality, we're talking about kids, in some cases, still sitting in their high school classrooms, just with a teacher who's been certified, qualified through Lone Star. So the end of the day, it still looks the same as another student that's in a non-college credit bearing class. Still going to the same school, still sitting in the same sort of classrooms, but guess what? I'm able to earn that college credit at the same time.
Exactly.
So when you look at that, what about other comparisons? So we mentioned there are some times where I'm able to sit in my same high school class, but I know that's not always the case. So what does that experience look like from a student standpoint compared to, like I said, I'm sitting in a high school class, but if my high school is not able to offer that dual credit class, what does that look like on your end?
So there's two things I want to address there. The first is even when they are in the high school classroom, and this is probably some of the trickiest kind of issues that students might work through because they're in the high school classroom, because they're used to the high school classroom, that they recognize that it is a college course. And because it is a college course, there's going to be a different set of expectations. So you're in the high school classroom, but it might feel different than some of your non-dual credit classes because you are taking it from a LSC credentialed faculty member that just happens to be embedded in that high school. For the students or the classes that are not offered in that high school, we have several options. So we have many students that will come to campus potentially when they can, or busing depending on what school they're in, to take one of two kinds of classes that we typically offer on the campus itself. Either dual credit dedicated sections where they're in the classroom with other dual credit students, potentially from their school or maybe their service area at large, or they're embedded within the larger student population. And when that happens, they're treated just like any other student. They're a full college student. They're in there with our other college students, and they get that college credit. And then, of course, we have the online option. That's something that I think everyone knows has really grown the last 2-3 years nationally, and especially for Lone Star Kingwood since 2017 with Harvey. We've had a very strong, robust online presence that presents some of those offerings that adds flexibility for students, especially if that course might not be offered at the school that they attend.
Yeah, well, especially you think about, again, kind of that easing into the college experience, right? Even if I'm a high school kid, to have that opportunity to sit in a traditional college class with college-age students is a great transitional experience as well. Now, I know one of the other opportunities that we've provided here in district is through our dual credit summer academy. Can you speak a little bit more about that? What has that looked like for our students as we've worked with you as it relates to, your summer credit opportunities?
Thank you for asking that question, because this is one of the most exciting things I think that's happened in the last couple years in our partnership with Humboldt ISD and Lone Star College Kingwood. So for the past 5 years, we've been offering or partnering to have dual credit summer academy classes for all of the students. For the first 3 years, it was actually face-to-face classes at one of the high schools. And we offer a variety of classes that are both for the core complete or essentials classes. So we offer things like speech, government, economics, drama, and it's grown over the years. The past 2 years, though, we transitioned to online. So we had a dual credit summer academy online because of the pandemic. And we offered even more classes. So it was, in that regard, it was a great opportunity to offer even more dual credit opportunities for the students.
Yeah, and I think the cool thing, at least from our standpoint, from the school standpoint, is the fact that this is a summer opportunity for original credit. Sometimes with summer school, it's about making up credits or trying to fill in gaps. And this is an opportunity. I just got done talking to some students this morning where your dual credit summer academy, this is original credit for the first time, and it frees up your schedule for later on. And so for some of my kids, that's huge. If I can knock out an English, a government, and econ, that frees up my schedule senior year, junior year, that I could take some of the other courses, some of the other electives that I'm really interested in.
And everyone's looking for that flexibility too, so it's a fantastic opportunity for students.
Awesome. Well, look, if people want to find out more about dual credit opportunities or even opportunities that they can earn college credit through Lone Star without going through our official dual credit process, how can they get more information?
We have a lot of resources available there, so you won't have to look very hard. One of the best resources would be, of course, our website. You just go to lonestar.edu/dual credit. That'll open up a whole host of resources for you. They can always also visit campus. We are a public, open campus. Come to campus. Just look at it just for fun. See what's around. Talk to people. We've got friendly faces on campus. We're getting more and more people on campus as we sort of emerge from some of our pandemic protocols. Hopefully we'll be offering campus tours again in the spring, so they can come and kind of see where, even if they're not taking classes at the campus, where they might in the future, or where some of their faculty might be housed. And then, of course, their high school counselors are fantastic resources. We work very closely with the counselors there, very much the connection between the high school campus and Lone Star that can kind of connect the students to us and get them the resources that they need.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's kind of been a theme of our podcast. We always say, hey, if I want more information, it seems like, hey, your counselor is the prime person to talk to for all the answers.
Absolutely.
So look, hey, I appreciate you guys spending the time today to come out and have a conversation. I think it's great to arm our population, our parents, our students with this information, and hopefully we get more kids to be able to sign up for dual credit in the long run.
Yeah, happy to do it.
Thank you so much for having us.
Awesome. Well, look, that's all the time we have today with the Advanced Learning Podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you can be notified when we drop new episodes talking about anything and everything related to advanced learning. Also follow us on social media on Twitter at UmbleISD_ADV. But this is Dr. Tong Uticrit, and this has been the Advanced Learning Podcast, keeping you ahead of the learning curve in Humble ISD.